jersey. So just how exciting are you at this point with the autumn ahead of you?
Yeah, we're massively excited as a group. As you touched on, it's the first time many of us have been together again since the Ireland game, which was a defeat. So we're very keen to come together and show that we've learnt our lessons from that game particularly, but also the sort of understanding and the way the guys went about the work in the summer, whether that be on the tour or with Argentina. And I think it's really important now we get back together, which we have, and really get momentum building again nicely.
Up against an Argentina team, Ben, who've obviously had a few struggles in the Rugby Championship. A lot of the boys beat them twice in the summer with much changed teams. Seen these guys quite a lot between some of the collective.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of them. I think, although you've got to remember the Rugby Championship is hugely fierce, but I think if you look at those games, majority of them, they're in the game for 60, 70 minutes. They're coming on the back of being played at that test intensity, playing against the All Blacks and Australia and teams like that. So I think that it's really important that we really focus on ourselves and try and get to that test match level straight away, because I've no doubt that they're already there. We've got to be absolutely right on it, because they've shown that they can be very, very dangerous, especially as they play that offloading game, which they tend to revert to. If they stick and they get in behind you and they control the ball well, they're actually a huge threat.
From England's point of view, we're at this point on where the next World Cup weirdly isn't that far away in the sense of rugby cycles. How much do you feel does that intensity of new players coming into the squad, fighting for their chance, and you guys who've done so much already the last couple of years also still integrally involved?
Yeah, I do. I think you're certainly seeing some new faces come in, and their energy sort of within the training ground, certainly young, enthusiastic energy is great. Yeah, which was me once, and which is always good to see. I think we had a really good meeting when we met in Portugal. One of the first things we spoke about is whatever we've done in the last 2 years isn't going to be good enough with the next 2 years. So we're really focused on continuing to develop our game. We feel that we've still got a lot to go in certain areas, and a great period for us to try and develop those areas is certainly in the next 3 weeks. So I'm really excited by it. I think the next 2 years is hugely exciting to be a part of this team, and the main thing for us is we've got to keep developing our team and our squad and the way that we play.
Just finally from me, I guess one of the headline stories of today is Henry Slade getting his chance in the back line. You and George Ford is quite an established half-back combo, but a really exciting name to add into the mix for fans to see at Twickenham.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Henry's obviously had an outstanding start to the year. Played in the summer. I remember his try he set up. I think it was for Marlon. With his left foot grubber after a lovely break. So he's got some great subtle touches. I'm excited to see him out there. Left foot as well gives us another option, and certainly in terms of field position stuff. So it's great when you see someone like Henry come in, and you're just looking forward to seeing him continue the work that he's shown at Exeter.
Well, you've been urging your forwards on in training, no doubt. Have there sort of been any discussions about how the Argentinian scrums looked over the last few months? And watched a fair bit of the Rugby Championship. Doesn't look as strong as it used to be, maybe. Well,
I think the thing with the Argentinian, they always build their sort of game within their scrum, and I think that certainly last year they pounded our line in the first back end of the first half, trying to get push over, and I think we ended up losing someone to the bin and things. So look, they'll be, with the knowledge of that, they'll be confident about that coming here. So that's one area that we certainly got to be absolutely on it at, because we can certainly take momentum away from them there, and belief away from their scrum if we're absolutely on it. So I back the boys. They've been doing some great work with hats, and been putting through their paces in Portugal. So I'm sure that they're itching to go on that front.
I know Ross touched on the new faces. Sort of hearing from Dan Cole, I think about how Ellis Genge is someone who loves to chat away in the Leicester Tigers scrum. You've got sort of newer faces like Sam Underhill coming in as well. How much do these guys come in with that amount of confidence that this is how they operate and they're just going to fit in, or how much do they wait for some of the senior players to sort of show them how it's going and how to fit in?
Well, I think a lot of the guys that come in, they get a good understanding of how the game plan and all those bits is, and then once they're that, then it's about them going out there and expressing themselves within that plan. And a lot of those guys are here because they're good enough, and you want them to be out there, you want them to be training well, and you want them to get their hands on the ball and do what they've been doing at club level. So it's really important that they're not timid in any way. They get out there and they just rip in, and people like Genji and stuff, they don't need a second invite to do that. So you know, those guys have been outstanding in that, and I think you know, want everyone pushing towards the same goal, which is obviously to be, you know, the best team in the world.
And what about your battle at 9? I haven't actually seen whether it's Landacho or who is starting.
I haven't actually seen it yet either, so I'm only half an hour fresh off the pitch. But look, I think both guys actually play you know, exciting rugby, and I think that they're a threat. So you know, me and Danny are also looking forward to that challenge of taking on those guys. You know, they are sniping runners, and a lot of time, you know, they have wingers around them, so they'll be looking to go and bring other guys within the game. So it's important that we put their halfbacks under pressure.
Your partnership with Fordy, Ben, obviously you've known him for quite a long time, with him being in his first stint at Leicester. But these 2 weeks that you've had together, has it been easier to get that partnership going, coming straight from club?
Yeah, I think it's probably easier in terms of understanding each other. But although, you know, we still play different styles at the club to what we do here, so it's just important that we just get into that England mode and that England sort of philosophy as quickly as possible. But you know, clearly there's areas in the game where we have a really good understanding of what we're trying to do to help each other. So that certainly helps in terms of that synergy stuff, without doubt.
Ben, in all of your time with England, have you noticed, well, what's there to be said for the fact that now there seems to be competition for places is deeper than ever? Something like 50 odd players could be considered by the time the next World Cup rolls around. What's that say about where the game is in this country? Bear in mind where Eddie picked it up from as a starting point.
Well, I think there's always been talent. I think what we've been able to develop is a strong game that suits English players, I suppose, and suits the squad, the guys that we've got in here. So, you know, we've got unbelievable ball carriers and physical guys within the forwards, but then we've got some brilliant distributors and playmakers in the back line. So, you know, we want to be an attacking game, but we also want to be direct with it, to use those ball carriers and have subtleties to put them through holes and things. So I think he's obviously, you know, Eddie's very clear about what our strengths are, which is great. I think the other thing is, you look at the guys that have come through now and the age of them, you know, he's very confident and puts the belief in the youngsters. If you're good enough, you know, you're going to be in the squad. And, you know, I think that's great because, you know, even if they may only be within the 32 and they might not get picked in the 23, they're still turning up at training, they're bringing energy, they're enthusiastic, you know, the youth side of it and what that can bring is great. And I think it just shows that the strength, as you touched on, really. And I think, you know, partly is probably the belief he has in youngsters, but also the belief he has within, right, this suits the English players that I've got, which makes us, you know, go out there and we're able to play to our strengths, which is great.
Does that feed into the momentum that you're going to need in between World Cups? Because a settled squad after winning 1 Six Nations is one thing, but now you've got these extra things to think about. Does it help keep everyone on their toes?
I think the squad is pretty sort of settled in terms of anything anyway, but I think, you know, the challenges that lie ahead is great stepping stones towards that end goal. That we all know what the end goal is, but to get there we've got to deal with the here and now, and, you know, the next 3 weeks is a great stepping stone in that. So you know, we don't want to look too far ahead. We know what end goal is, but also short term as well. You know, we want to know, as I spoke earlier, about that areas that we want to continue to develop on, the areas that we want to get better at, to make sure that, you know, the previous 2 years won't, you know, be enough. You know, we're going to keep developing. So, as I said, the opportunity in the next 3 weeks allows us to do that.
And just lastly, Eddie said in the press release for this match when the team was announced that this is the most important game of the year. So, what is the most important thing about this most important game? Is it anything to do with the fact the opposition is a game?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, I suppose. One, Argentina, that we know pretty well. So from the summer, they know us well, we know them well. I think two is, obviously, we all know that they're in the World Cup pool, so that's important. And I think three, the fact that, you know, Ireland was the last time a lot of us all played together, so that's why it's the most important game. And lastly, it's the only game that's around the corner, so that's why it's the most important. If you look too far ahead, it'll catch you out. So Eddie's very much a one-game focused man, and that's filtered through the squad, and that's why it's the most important. Cheers, everyone. Cheers.